something, and I want to see Malrang doing damage to champions, because if we had some DPM numbers from game number 1, they were low across the board, very apparent on the Lee Sin.
All right, so the first thing is, can Jin Air do as much damage as Deft as a team? That's the question. Is Kingzone going to ban away the Thresh? As option number 1, not wanting to first pick it, and not wanting Jin Air to get it.
Seeing where the ban priority is, game number 1 on the red side, Kingzone, Lucian, Zoe, Victor. So definitely going for a bit of a different approach. The Victor ban on blue and red is very intriguing to me, but it's a pick that both Grace, Linderung, and I guess Root as well are happy to opt in to, so you're just trying to make the draft a bit more honest. Speaking of honesty, it's a policy with Cassiopeia.
Oh, well, one of either the Yasuo or the Ezreal are going to get through this game, most likely, unless Kingzone ban them away, and Kingzone don't want the LeBlanc. They want to be going towards this Yasuo, most likely, as Jin Air. They have to ban Ezreal.
LeBlanc's still not a first-pick champion in the meta right now, and Grace especially has had some pop-off games on LeBlanc in 2018, so because of that, not wanting to opt into LeBlanc being open, relieve some pressure from Pawn. I take your point. Ezreal, Yasuo, or both being open and taking one are the options here, and I think Jin Air probably went for the right call. I'm kind of on the Ezreal hype train as a champion, but Yasuo into Ezreal in terms of duo lane is actually pretty good for Yasuo. He actually gets through the Ezreal lane probably most forgivably, so I actually don't mind them taking Yasuo, plus it's a chance to pop off and add to your YouTube highlight reel.
Hey, that is true. That is definitely true. As Jin Air thinking about taking away the Alistar to deny the Yasuo synergy. Certainly a big deal here, as they could pick up Gragas as well and really deny any sort of bottom lane duo.
But then you really don't have anything, and the enemy locks in Ezreal, Urgot, and then you lost.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how it goes, Atlas.
I think you have to pick up Ezreal here, right?
Or Urgot. One of the two.
Right.
You desperately need one of the two. I actually think the Alistar's a bit junky because you can just take Gragas if you're Kingzone.
Yeah, I feel like you just pick Ezreal Gragas here and you're having the best time ever.
Or you take Gragas. It might be Yasuo bot lane, remember?
Yeah, true. But I mean, you can play Ezreal mid lane. I mean, Pawn's done that before.
So, let's see what Kingzone decide. The Gragas will be locked in because Cuz is a noted Gragas player. And
Tucson is also a noted Gragas player.
So I think you have to take it here. It would be inane not to.
Yep.
So because of that, we will see the Gragas lock in. Now you can go a lot of different ways. Deft can have a happy time on Ezreal. Deft can be giving us some Yasuo. The Rise is something I think we'll see in the future, but not right now. The Sylas was banned, you'll remember, in game number 1.
All right, Galio.
Huh.
That's an interesting one. Not entirely sure where that's going to be going, but it might put Cuz into the jungle on the Gragas.
That does make you think jungle Gragas mid lane Yasuo.
Yeah.
And a Galio support. Jin Air, look at the enemy team, which is clearly looking about teamfight Wombo, and they want to look for a scaling threat. And you know what? Later enough in the game, Vladimir can do a big argument, so I actually don't mind Vladimir in this spot because the enemy team has already kind of telegraphed that they're about fighting and not sieging. So going for Vladimir, the ultimate answer to most scaling team fights, is probably decent. And if you can combine it with a Sivir, you definitely have a point in the game where you win.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, that's going to be the first round coming in here. What do the bans actually tell us more about this composition? Is Ezreal going to be taken away from Kingzone? Obviously, not too worried about that because they can just flex the Yasuo towards the bottom side of the map. Deft, of course, not played a lot of it competitively, but certainly has been playing a lot of it since the Awesome Dudes became a thing. Lissandra going to be banned away from Grace, so just going to hit him in the comfort feels.
I take your point, and yes, it is a hypothetical flex, but just with how the draft came together, it'd be really strange to me. It could still happen for Deft because actually Yasuo Galio as a duo lane works just fine.
Yeah.
Galio can, from level 1, of course, get you that knock up, and you do skill Justice Punch level 1
wow, Vayne.
in the duo lane. A Vayne ban suggests a lot of kind of cynicism about it being anything other than bot lane on the side of Kingzone. These are coverage bans for Sivir, so I think Root will be playing Sivir this game, but could still be on the Vladimir like we mentioned, but Vladimir and Alistar's a really weak duo lane, as we well know. So I think Vayne ban really only makes sense if you are fancying the Sivir.
Well, you also could pick up the Kalista here because Kingzone are heading towards a decent Kalista draft on the same side. I mean, that's even more knock-up synergy available there. See where Kingzone do decide to go with this one, as Malrang's going to lock away the Xin Zhao, an understandable pickup there as Deft. What does he make of this Jin Air composition, and what does he want to play into it?
Some golden oldies being flashed by Deft here. Very, very famous Kog'Maw player, of course.
Since
Kog'Maw would be a very bizarre pick in this game. But who knows?
Aatrox's also a pretty bizarre pick in this game as well, as I'm not entirely sure where anything is going.
Is Pawn on mid lane Galio now. We're trying to make sense of the madness. On the side of Kingzone.
On top lane?
Yeah, could be. Could be. I'm not willing to write anything off. Actually,
Yeah.
Atlas, I'm going to sit back and just savor this Jin Air series. Whoa, our cameraman almost tripped.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, he was sitting back and he didn't have a seat, unfortunately. So, okay, Tristana going to be locked in, Papa Smithy, so I'm very confused. I thought Kalista was standing out like a sore thumb, but no. It's the Trist on the bottom side. And what does Jin Air make of this? Because they can't really pick the Sivir into this one comfortably.
Yet they really want it, Atlas.
Yeah.
They're going to actually look elsewhere. Now, this is with a very fluid lane assignment situation on the side of Kingzone, where only Tristana, to some degree, is locked into her role. We'll wait and see if it will be the Fiora, and Linderang says, give me the Fiora, or will the Fiora just be hunting Galio? I don't think that's going to work, because I think Galio could still very much be support, and we're just very confused.
I think Galio does have to be support, as we got to work out where the top side of the map is going. Because we got a couple of junglers, we've got 3 potential solo laners, and we've got flexibility absolutely everywhere. Jin Air, a lot more standard here, but it looks like Pawn is going to be trying to chase after the Urgot and head towards the mid lane.
Wait and see at 20 seconds, we get that confirmation. Aatrox will be the old matchup, and I think Urgot wins that matchup more than ever.
Yeah.
And I think Yasuo should be in the short lane, he should be in mid, so I imagine Yasuo mid. Pawn also has a very good career win rate on Yasuo, but did lose on it in recent memory. I believe that was the Casper Cup, but it could have been LCK Spring as well. End result is a lot of knock-up synergy for good old Yasuo.
Absolutely. So many different options here, and a lot of teamfight prowess available to be demonstrated here by this Kingzone roster, but whenever there's a Fiora, the teamfight becomes less of a thing that you focus on, and the split push does certainly rear its ugly head. So can Kingzone actually stand up to Linderang's power in the split push in the late game, or will we just not get to a late game?
I will ask you a question to answer your question.
All right.
I believe, how many knockups do you see as synergy for the last breath here? If you include Yasuo as one, I counted 8, so
yeah.
We'll see if that's a lot. This
Everyone
is
has
very
multiple
reliable.
buttons.
We've had that before. We look over the side of Jin Air, and look, they do have Vladimir for a bit of late game, that's for certain, but they were so well held in the laning phase, and I think Tristana, if she gets the same start, she can also opt into an Executioner's Calling and really make life hell.
Yes, I think that Tristana's even more happy about that one. So certainly the laning phase is going to be another rough one here, but can Malrang actually utilize his famous Xin Zhao, get down there, get things going on early, because with an Alistar after level 2, that setup is certainly good. Let's find out. Okay, so here we are. Deft is going to be on the Little Witch Tristana towards the bottom side of the map. Tucson on the Galio duty. This time, they punished the Galio in the last game, but now he's going to be the man donning the chicken outfit and heading towards the bottom side.
And the Jin Air draft is pretty bizarre, and that's off the back of a pretty bizarre draft from Kingzone when it comes to flex picks, but the reason why the Jin Air one to me falls apart a little bit is the theory behind this draft is that they anticipated Aatrox top. They have Fiora into Aatrox. It's a really good matchup for Fiora, even before the nerfs to Aatrox. We had this matchup, and we're like, oh, Fiora, of course, does have the riposte and can do some great things over time. That time might be earlier than ever before, and Grasp does help out with the early trades. So it's definitely a pretty decent outscale matchup. It might even be 1.5 items rather than the usual 2 items.
I'm surprised they didn't go for Klepto just for that reason as well.
It might even just be straight up winning trades around level 5 with no items being purchased. So I think Fiora's really strong in this matchup, but consider the rest of the team is kind of weird skirmishing champions that can't engage. So the 4-1 here can't siege and can't really engage. If it's an ARAM in mid, this is a Mexican standoff in the bot side.
Absolutely. But
the chicken man gives up first.
Yeah, full information given over to Jin Air, so they're not going to do any funny business.
Usually your 4 in a 4-1 should be able to wave clear or engage hard, and they don't really do either. They can 2v2 quite well, but 4v4, it's actually pretty poor on the side of Jin Air, so I'm not really seeing the synergy, apart from in Linderang we trust to work this game super early. On the side of Kingzone, we know exactly what they do. Someone rushes in, throws out a knock-up, and Yasuo joins.
Yeah, they deliver a Yasuo to a fight, and Pawn has about a billion different options in order to get that one going. A ranged Dragon Rage kick coming through from the Tristana as well is going to be a pretty nice one for him to be able to jump on top of, and already Deft is having a great time on the bottom side of the map. Pawn has always been a noted Yasuo player.
Yasuo,
is his style
Jace,
as well.
Talon, these are all picks that were pretty big for Pawn in the mid lane.
Anything that's an assassin, and especially one that can be tricky and frustrating to deal with, that is certainly the Pawn way.
Deft walks up, and he was the big difference in game number 1, just the way they navigated bot lane. It was kind of the preseason analysis of Deft Tucson coming to life in a game where they just basically slammed Jin Air as a duo, and everything else around them was fine. Watching the junglers here, will Malrang get in the thick of it 3 minutes in?
Yeah, well, Tucson's already here to try and help Pawn out, but looks like he's just going to shove the way forward, go buy an item or two, and head his way back through. There's going to be the Rift Scuttler going down. Of course, there was a Ghost Borrow there, so full information is given over to Kingzone. See whether they can actually lock down the bottom Scuttler, or whether Malrang is going to use this advantage as the Xin Zhao in order to bully Cuz around here in the early game.
I actually made a note on my page. Understandably, you can imagine most of my notes for the second series. That Summit is still playing 9.3 Aatrox, and I believe Rascal is one of the few to join him. On that particular side, and we're already seeing CS-wise. I think this matchup is really Fiora favored after the latest batch of Aatrox nerfs. And so far, Rascal is showing a lot of respect to Linderong. That does mean it's going to be something that Cuz will want to intercede on, because even just getting a gank off will delay some of the breakpoints and item breakpoints that will make this matchup probably harder and harder as we anticipate for the Aatrox.
Yeah, exactly. Especially given the, like you say, 9.3 Aatrox situation that we find ourselves in. So Rascal just wanted to keep this wave relatively close to himself, and that Infernal Chains actually works out very nicely there, but with Linderong holding onto the riposte for so long, as you just saw, he is not able to actually go any further aggressive, as Cuz takes a drink, but doesn't step out of the brush.
Malrang there was very smart. I imagine he got a short call about the enemy jungler being around, but does not walk into the death brush that caused Nova his early mortality in game number 1.
And Deft is like playing this bottom lane 1v2 almost entirely here, and has an advantage close to 20 CS here at 5 minutes into the game. Not too bad at all, something that we expect from the Kingzone bottom lane, but again, a very impressive performance.
And I, again, really appreciate how much on the front foot Kingzone have been against Jin Air. We've seen teams higher on the standings than a Kingzone DragonX kind of have inaction against Jin Air and then need a comeback moment to get back into the game. So I'm appreciating the aggression they're playing with, because it's adding pressure onto a squad that already, of course, is going to be full of pressure and anxiety of being 0-9 at the end of today.
And as far as confidence players are concerned, I mean, you've got a team with Deft and Pawn on it, you're going to have a decent time if they're in the right mindset, right? So these are players that play with momentum very, very well. It's often the other situations that can be a problem. We've seen already mentality be an issue for Kingzone. But when you're in a situation like this, when you've just come off such a blowout victory in game number 1, this is where spirits are high, and this is where Kingzone is generally designed to flourish based on the players that are on this squad.
I think if you're Rascal, you look at the other lanes and say, look, I'm losing out on CS early to a Fiora. Doesn't matter what the scaling situation is. Farm it out, get my items, bail out, and fight. You know, the team fight is where this game will be won for Kingzone. It won't be won in the 1, it'll be won in the 5. So because of that, just not dying in this lane and getting CS, and at this point, at least making Linderong have something to think about, is probably fine from Rascal's perspective.
Oh, right now he's shoving really far forward, not able to get the sweet spot on that last Q, but Malrang shouldn't be able to get in here as Infernal Chain starting to hurt. How many points has he got in?
I would assume 1.
Yeah, I would assume 1 too, but it looked a little bit like it did more damage than it should have. Very strange. Never mind. Grace, here in the mid lane, we've got a pickaxe coming through for Deft as he's gone back to his Executioner's Calling. Very understandable stuff. First item, Infinity Edge, feels brilliant on Tristana. The old one certainly always did, and thankfully we've reverted it.
Already has an attack speed steroid in the queue, so can get those lucky RNG crits and straight up win trades that will be impossible for Tristana with different item balance. So, like you say, very happy to have the return of the old new IE. We got a lot of old news. LeBlanc is another one.
Yeah. And Essence Reaver is another one. Not going to be building that this time, but we did see a demonstration of it. Another Deft favorite coming in there. I feel like Deft got directly buffed on 9.3.
And Kingzone DragonX is a squad, given that a lot of their construction, especially going forward, and I know I anticipate the game to be a lot more tank jungle, less threat top laners, tanks everywhere, and a hyper carry. You know, Cuz can go on Zac, Deft can build a crit item, and in Deft we trust might actually get Kingzone wins against teams that on the 9.1 meta they would have found significantly more difficult.
Yeah, and as you can see, I mean, Tucson has barely been in this lane. I'm surprised he got past level 3, because he's currently level 4. Deft is level 6, solo experience almost this entire time. Kellen's had to mirror a lot of what Tucson has been doing around this map as well, so it means that Deft hasn't necessarily been in a true 1v2, but often you see him underneath the enemy turret with 2 people there.
And you know the why of that, of course, is think about the lane, and you might say, oh, but what if Alistair Headbutt pulverizes and Root comes in, Ignite, etc. Remember that Tristana can buffer with the rocket jump and get out of Headbutt Pulverize, and it's not any Tristana, it's Deft, one of the most mechanically gifted AD carries of all time, right up there with Uzi. Because of that, they've been confident, and this is why.
Well, there it is. The last breath finally comes in as Grace should be burning down. First blood going over to Pawn, but Cuz might be following him here. He takes a drink and is going to survive. The flash is forward. Deft looking to grab a kill on this one, but no, it's a double for the Yasuo, and Pawn's already online.
And Kingzone are always first out of lane because they have never actually had their support in the bot lane. The trust in Deft now pays off with 2 kills and an Infernal going the way of Kingzone.
Yeah, absolutely gut-wrenching stuff here for Jin Air GreenWings fans, but Kingzone once again on the front foot in the early game and looking really, really strong for it as well. It's the only time that we've actually seen things go well for Jin Air this time around. They're against Kingzone, and Kingzone's all about moving forward.
And it's just so rude that the 1v2 bot lane, which allows the support to roam with the jungler and get a lot of deep vision, pays off with double Infernal spawns to start the game as well. Insult upon injury. A lot of insults, a lot of injury, unfortunately. But Jin Air GreenWings from the community. And a turret plate, 2 turret plates, in fact, also to the benefit of Kingzone.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the insult definitely is going to be from the community, but the injury is coming from Kingzone right now onto Jin Air. That's a buster shot on the bottom side of the map. That's Deft just saying, get out of my lane. I want all of your turret plates. And I don't know whether Root is even going to be able to stay here. He's not. That means Deft should be able to get himself another one. Teleport does come down, but let's check out this replay.
This is all about priority. Once again, Betty's video on lane priority paying off in a big way. That is just a Galio roaming up. No Hero's Entrance, of course, only level 5 from missing out on experience. Hoping to catch Cuz with the ultimate, but doesn't arm because of the death onto the Urgot. They chase for a further kill. Too easy for Kingzone. Their priority allows them to get there first and really keep the pain onto Jin Air GreenWings.
You can see Akon very happy there in the coach's booth. See whether his former Samsung compatriot in Pawn and Deft, of course, playing for the same team, Akon and Deft back in the day, Samsung Blue, 2014. Pawn in the sister team of Samsung White, championship squad there of that year. So certainly no strangers to one another. It's good to have Akon back in Korea as well. I remember him going over and showing us his world-famous Hecarim in China. After that year, is we're going to come and check back in, and this is Deft without an ultimate, but he does have a hell of a lot of turret plates, and he's very close to just buying an Infinity Edge.
Kind of bailed out on the Rift Herald there. We were watching that for a bit of it.
Yeah.
Looks like it won't be claimed. I guess that's why the observers made the move. Trades probably don't get better for a lot of this game for Root, given that Tristana, ever since she gets a couple of points in her E, it becomes very hard to be out-traded on in an extended laning trade. Team fights much more whether Vladimir will shine.
I'm pretty sure Explosive Charge still hits if you're in pool as well as it's on top of your head. Not entirely sure how that one works. You might be able to dodge it.
I want to say that's wrong. The only thing that should apply is the dots, like for example, the
it's like
Fiddlesticks W does continue through it.
Soul Shackles as well as another option there. But
Tethers, I believe.
Yeah, Tethers still CC you. I don't know whether they damage you though, so I think you might be right there. So not going to be able to take the damage there from the Explosive Charge, but still not exactly the greatest matchup here for the Vladimir. You want to save pool generally for the the Buster Shot, because otherwise your flank is not a flank anymore. That's you just taking a very, very fast journey out of the fight.
Well, Cuz is here for a different type of fast journey on the side of Jin Air. Just trade damage. There's a control ward being matched on both sides, so very hard to come in unawares. The Rift Herald would kill the turret with a single charge. That's why I imagine Gragas went bot lane first, but why not get some more gold for the Yasuo?
Yeah, I feel like turret plates is certainly where you want to be putting this one, as Cuz can head towards the mid lane, set up a kill onto Grace potentially as well, and then follow it up with good old Shelly. Looks like the bottom side of the jungle, though, is where Kingzone are going to be focused, denying Malrung as much as possible. Certainly a key to victory here against Jin Air. There are a lot of them, but that is certainly one of them to note. So right now, I mean, Pawn's having the best time on the Yasuo right here this game. 2-0, he's got his Zeal completed.
320 gold. I imagine Cuz might give solo gold to Pawn here. Wait and see if he changes his mind.
Oh, Grace?
He doesn't.
Yeah, Grace actually gets ulted. No, he does get ulted, sorry. He was in mid-disdain while Cuz hit him with a barrel, so it looked like he journeyed onto the screen via a barrel instead of via his own volition.
Will Jin Air get a turret plate in this series? The answer is looking like no.
Yes, it's looking like a very, very severe no. Top side of the map might be where they have an option, but at the moment, Kingzone are going to take this bottom outer turret and might even be at... No, they're not going to be able to. 30 seconds until those turret plates go down, so Deft isn't going to be able to move top side and get any up there, but man, this game is certainly accelerating well and truly out of any Jin Air control.
Unfortunately, Jin Air in 2 games, pre-14 minutes, have done nothing, Atlas. Nothing at all. They haven't been able to zone someone off for a plate, a turret dive, a gank. None of those things have happened, and that's around the one player who can really hold their head high for pre-15 minutes play on Jin Air, which would be Malrung. So far, Malrung has been inactive on Lee Sin, and you might say, okay, he can farm from time to time, but Xin Zhao is the ultimate early dueler. It's Halo Blade Xin Zhao. We know what that's all about. In this game, he's just been a passenger. Unfortunately, I feel like Jin Air just haven't put a lot into coming up with early game plans. And 5th week of the season, it is feeling eerily like the 9th week of the season for Jin Air.
Yeah, precisely. And I feel like this series has been Linderung that's had anything positive to note. I mean, at the moment, he's 4 CS in the lead, which is the only advantage I think that Jin Air have had in any lane or in the jungle for this entire series so far.
And he's on a champion who can't spread his lead apart from Split Push, so they're going to lose double Infernal. Before too long. It's already double Infernal, just finished as we speak.
Yeah, it goes down. As we're having that discussion, and look at this, Deft is just happily doing as much damage as possible. That Infinity Edge has been built up, so those big old crits are certainly threatening here onto the duo lane of Jin Air. Malrung hanging around, but at the moment I feel like that's just donating another kill over to Deft potentially, rather than actually setting yourself up for a gank. Unless you send more, they are going to do that. Linderung moving on down, but like you say, he's a split-foot push threat, not a flanking threat.
It's not often this early in the season that one team seems so off the pace like Jin Air. We had, for example, Kongdu Monster go 2-2 to open and then lose their last 14 games of the season, so that has happened. I believe that is the longest losing streak we've had in the LCK, is 14. Yep. But, you know, that started with the hope. Unfortunately for Jin Air, they had the hardest possible week 1, SKT Griffin, especially before we knew about Sandbox's candidacy.
Yeah.
And from there, things have just continued in that way, and you do wonder what the right approach is for Coach H-Dragon and the coaching staff of Jin Air. Do you say play on comfort? Do you go for easy to execute comps? What do you go for? It's kind of, there's merit on all ideas, but there's nothing that really leaps off the page. And unfortunately now, week 5, you get a performance like this where the silver lining, which has been there every time Jin Air has played a series, there's always been at least one game where there was a clear silver lining. Right now, there's no silver lining. Yeah, that's where you really get scared, because there's nothing to build on after this particular series.
And when the cloud and when the storm is looking worse and worse from series to series, that's when you feel like there's a huge problem. His root was almost an ultimate away from dead there from Deft, but of course Angle Pull means that Deft doesn't overcommit. That will mean that the turret does fall down, though. No options here for Jin Air at all.
We're looking for proactivity. We're gonna, you know how we have a sliding scale of try to get a game off Griffin, make Griffin bleed. I think for Jin Air, it's make a proactive move, because they are watching this game be lost in front of them as the game plays out.
Yeah. Right now, Malrung has to contend with his control ward, as Rascal's fighting Linderung bottom side. This could have been the potential silver lining, but Linderung's unable to find anything underneath the turret. Not quite at that level just yet. We'll see what his build is going to be. Often it's Trudy Force up next, but after that, there's certainly a lot of different options now on 9.3 for item builds.
I don't mind the lane assignment here. It's a bit of a different one than you might expect, but Fiora is going to work at the bot lane turret. It'll take a while to take it down, of course, because Rascal can at least do relevant trade damage, but trading farm for the Vladimir next to the Tristana in mid is actually a good news story. But, you know, that's someone who is a scaling win condition that, you know, we're not putting too much faith in getting there, but that lane assignment of Tristana top and farm is good. Here is Tristana on screen.
Yeah, the flash is going to come in there, but Deft follows immediately afterwards. Of course, Riposte is on cooldown. It had been used just off screen before, and Deft comes in, gets the solo kill. Of course, there is an assist, but Rascal did nothing.
Yeah, Lindaron got roam ganked by a Tristana. That happened. That was the thing that happened. Long lane there. The lane assignment started good, but you need to update lane assignments when you see a roam from the enemy Tristana. Tristana comes to mid, goes back to trading farm with Vladimir, but how about with 300-400 gold in the pocket while she does?
Yeah, it's looking real scary, Pop Smithy. I just don't know what the options are here, really.
The option here is that you move that control vision further up to allow Fiora to just have a fun time against the enemy Aatrox. Obviously, when Tristana darts in, you're already boned, right? There's nothing you can do, but it's the earlier genesis of the problem we need to inspect.
Yeah. Just don't feed it, in other words, unless you've got some vision down there towards the bottom side, and you can see not a lot of vision available. For Jin Air down there, just that one control ward that Lindaron had put down in the tri-brush, but when the rest of the map does not belong to you, it's just not good enough vision available. This was any other sort of game, like, there's an opportunity for Jin Air to make that play with the vision that they had, but without the outer turret bottom lane, without the outer turret mid lane, it's just a bit of a disaster. And once again, it's an example of a series that has gone completely by the wayside extraordinarily quickly. 19 minutes in, double Infernal, 5,000-6,000 gold. His lead here for Kingzone. And Pawn's even built a Bilgewater Cutlass because he can't be bothered finishing a non-damage item. Well, I mean, a minimal damage item in the Sterix gauge. Besides, he wants some sort of lifesteal.
Reminds me of a 2014 Dade choice where he went and played the Rowan King Yasuo sometimes. Yeah. In the past, once again, waiting for proactivity from Jin Air.
Bond's waiting for a knockup. Not going to find it just yet. Cuz has the go button available, but isn't going to throw it out there, and they're just fighting over vision. It doesn't feel like much of a fight. It's Kingzone saying, get out of my area, and Jin Air saying, how far should I go?
And that's the thing is, you know when people say nice trade when someone does 600 damage, the other person does 0. It doesn't really feel like they're trading much at all. They're just taking damage. Speaking of taking...
There's the last breath. That is a very dead Urgot, as I think that the cow is going to follow him here. Pawn close to the distance, and Cuz is going to pick up that kill very, very easily. And it's all just elementary here for Kingzone. Bottom side of the map, we're continuing to fight as Rascal doesn't have a lot of options as far as healing is concerned, but when he's underneath the turret that hasn't taken any damage, he's not worried about this Fiora. Ah, that's Baron.
Yeah, Kingzone turning on to Baron. There's nothing that Jin Air can do apart from a flash smite steal, but they need to actually get in there. Marung is not being gate-kept for now, but a lot of people can turn off this Baron.
It is theoretically a 50-50 at the moment, and it's going to be Deft with the Buster Shot that has the opportunity to lock this one down as Tucson flashes on forward. Justice punches there. Vladimir just dies, but no, not able to lock down this Baron as Deft does have the drawer bead and can start shooting down on this Xin Zhao. He goes down, and the Baron is in the hands of Kingzone now.
A speck of blood is Root in the Death Chamber, and Atlas close to a perfect game in game number 1. We're on perfect game pace in game number 2. Not sure you should open up the betting markets for that one, seeming like it is very likely. Gonna watch the replay here. Remember, the word was proactivity from Jin Air, and it's nothing like that. It's just Kingzone starting up. Marung just watches on and does nothing under the turret. Doesn't even charge in.
Yeah.
Literally just watches 2 people die, and then takes a bit of damage from AoE Luden's Prime.
And I mean, theoretically, he could have gone in there and ulted to get people out of there, but this is really nicely done from Tucson, but maybe a little bit too early. But in the meantime, Deft has been taking down the bottom lane carry, and that meant that there wasn't quite as much damage in that pit. And now we've got a 10,000 gold lead at 21.5 minutes and a Baron circling
Let's
around
not talk about it
Kingzone.
anymore. We're not talking about this game for now. It's not, unfortunately not much of a game on the side of Jin Air. It makes me think, though, as Pawn looks for some more kills. I guess we should focus on the action.
Well, there's another last breath to come in here. Can Pawn actually win this 1 versus 3? Well, it's not actually. A 1 versus 3, Lindaron teleports in, and now Tucson might be in trouble. The Grand Challenge is down, and they will be able to get 2 kills. No perfect game coming in here. As Rascal dives on forward. Maybe he's going to deliver himself in here as well, as there's the Infernal Chains. Deft picks up that kill, though, and could this potentially be the Penta. The resets are starting. Deft is Goomba stomping around Summoner's Rift. That's not the crit that we wanted, but he's still going to be able to dive on forward here. 1, 2, picks that one up as he dives back underneath the inner turret, and that's not going to be the triple kill. So we got excited.
A 2+1 special. Anyone in Korea knows about that. Every grocery store about the 2+1. 3 kills go the way of Deft. He is monstrously strong. 1,000 gold bounty. They're going to push through mid lane here. Kingzone want to break the base on this map.
And I feel like, is this another one of those games where Jin Air are not going to do as much damage as Deft by himself? Probably not this time, I guess, because Linderung has been at least beating on Rascal a bit. But it's still a worrying scenario here.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is, to me, by far the most damage Jin Air have done to themselves as a squad the whole season, as I think we need 3 people in the lane against Deft.
Yeah. It's not like Pawn randomly diving into 3 people. This is Deft holding on to a rocket jump and shooting everyone that walks towards it. And we'll just take down the turret by himself. Okay.
Deft is just so happy to walk up.
Boy.
Let me just introduce the fact that Tucson doesn't have ult and is a screen away from Deft and probably doesn't need to be there. Deft's real safe.
Yeah, he is. And he gets delivered a puppy that Tucson prepared for him. It's just beautiful. Their relationship is gorgeous. As Deft's going to take down this inhibitor. Not a lot 4 members of Jin Air can do to stop him. As Tucson finally does turn up, he wonders why he's actually here, because his AD carry is so incredibly strong. And on the bottom side of the map, you got 2 members pushing on up, the GreenWings and Yasuo Best Friends Club. And Jin Air, even with 4 people in the mid lane, can't punish it. They know where everyone is. They know this is 2 versus 4, and they can't close the distance onto Deft.
Seems like it's only going to hesitate their demise, make their demise faster. No Yasuo ult there. Probably could have gone for its 13,000 gold lead.
Yeah, well, you may as well just take down the turret here. I mean, no reason to go overly aggressive, especially after Pawn was punished for it earlier on the top side. Deft is there, though, to follow up with the damage, and that's a knockup that Pawn could have gone in on once again. Not going to. Jin Air just watch as everything falls apart.
Jin Air would be the worst dance partner.
Oh,
they don't make any moves, Atlas, none at all.
Nope.
This is
unless
really...
you like leading, you know?
Yeah, but this is some lifeless stuff right here from Jin Air, unfortunately. It's really hard to cast because usually you need a 2 and throw. It's only 2, speaking of 2.
Yep, there's the throw. Papa Smithy, that's a double kill coming in for the GreenWings. Could we get the pentakill for Jungle GreenWings? That's what I want. It's not going to happen, as it's going to be Deft picking up the last few. Linderung running away. Malrung goes golden. Deft just wants someone to shoot. Cuz is going to pick up the triple. The 1,000 gold goes over to Linderung, but that's just not going to be enough to get them any sort of semblance of a victory. Kingzone will close this one out at 25 minutes. It is a shellacking, and it is Kingzone picking up the 2-0, understandably, over Jin Air GreenWings.
You can only beat the team put in front of you, but that was a putrid display from Jin Air GreenWings.
Excellent use of putrid, Papa Smithy.
It sounds like insult upon injury, but they've had